So welcome everyone to the 2026 UX Career Planning session. We have a lot to get done today. As you can see here, we have 6 activities that we're going to be going through to really help you go through the full UX career planning and get the most out of all the activities. We have different amounts of time frames that we're going to be spending on each activity. If you have the chance, I would highly recommend hopping onto the desktop so that you have a chance to play around in this FigJam board. And so with that, I'm going to get started. If you want to move ahead, you can totally move ahead and keep going through each activity, even if we're not quite there yet. And what you see below here are all the folks who have shared some of their previous activities with us. So it's really good to kind of see who shared what from the past career planning sessions. And I'll talk in more detail about what some of them have said and some of my favorite responses as well. So with that, let's get right into activity 1. Have you found a specific UX career path to focus on, or are you still sort of feeling that out? And so what I recommend doing is if you haven't yet mapped out one specific UX career path, you should definitely take our 2-minute quiz to see what UX career path best suits you and your personality. And then you can bookmark our YouTube lesson. It's about a 60-minute long lesson to watch at a later time. And that does a deep dive into UX career paths. But for now, as you're taking that 2-minute quiz, I want you to think, are you someone who could be more of a UX researcher or strategic product designer? Within our 7-month accelerator program, we have 2 routes that most of our students take. They either take the strategic route, so they become UX researchers or strategic product designers at companies, or they become UX UI designers, visual designers, and product designers at a company. And usually folks who are coming in from project management, administrative roles, marketing, market research, sales, customer service, healthcare, education, and they've had, lengthy careers in those areas, they have a lot of transferable skills already available to them to take on more of a strategic path. So they tend to gravitate towards a UX researcher or strategic product designer role. For folks who are coming in from graphic design, art, tattoo artistry, interaction design, industrial design, furniture design, landscape design, fashion design even. A lot of those folks tend to be more visually oriented, and they tend to go for UX design or product design roles, and are more taking on more of a visual route. So that's one element of it, and I recommend focusing on one UX career path, whether you're going the strategic route or the visual route. And then you can start to think about whether you want to be a designer or researcher for a startup or corporate or consulting. In corporate and consulting, the roles tend to be a little bit more buttoned up. So you're either a UX researcher or a designer. At a startup, you might be more of a unicorn and you might wear multiple hats. And these are 2 of the answers from the past couple of sessions that we did that I really liked. So this is Yenwen, and they were saying that they had a background in performing arts and research, but they feel that their research is stronger, so they would like to focus on research. And here Bree talks about having a background in graphic design, so she's more drawn towards the UX elements. So again, take some time to think about what you want to do and feel free to write a sticky note. And to write a sticky note, you can just click on this bottom panel here and click sticky note, and you can choose any color that you want. And then you can just place a sticky note on the board. So I've just placed a couple of sticky notes for the folks who are on the board, and you can feel free to use them. And then once you have a sticky note, you can just copy paste, and you can do Command C, Command P, similar to a Word doc, and you can copy paste a sticky note. So that is how we operate in Figma. I see a couple of folks joined again, so I'm just going to reshare the Figma link with folks. But go ahead and get started. I don't want to hold you back. So take maybe 2 minutes to write up a sticky note for yourself on which career path you're leaning towards. All right, I see folks from animation and motion graphics. That's great to see. And folks with interactive and UX degrees. That's great to see as well. All right, I think folks are getting the hang of this first exercise. So as you're working on that, I'm going to start to move towards the second one, but I'm going to give you that last minute. So let me just put the timer on for that last minute and take your time to finish up your response. All right. And I always love taking a look at these answers because it shows that everyone's coming in from such different backgrounds and is interested in so many different things. So that's always exciting to me to see. So I love how folks are coming in from neuroscience, animation and motion design, interactive design, medical writing, and so much more. And so that's really exciting to see kind of the different career paths folks are coming in from. So for activity two, now you're getting the hang of it. So if you want to like start reading and start to jot things down, you can, or you can wait for me to explain each activity. I want you to start to think about what are transferable skills that you have in terms of work experience or educational experience from the last 1 to 5 years. And the reason I really like to focus on transferable skill sets is because for a lot of folks, especially folks coming in from places like technical writing or medical writing or neuroscience, a lot of that can be channeled, all those transferable skill sets can be channeled towards a research or analytical UX career. So start to think about more specifically, what are some of the skills that you have from your current role that are transferable skill sets? Same thing from the design side. If you're coming from a graphic design or architecture or interactive and animation design background, what are transferable skills from your design background in particular that would really apply to UX? And what we do is we help a lot of folks actually rebrand at more of the mid to senior level. So Juliet was able to land a senior UX designer role within 3 months of graduating from our spring 2025 cohort. And this is because she leveraged almost 10 years in fashion design and fashion operations, and she created an e-commerce specific resume. Stephanie was able to land a six-figure service designer role within 3 months of graduating from the spring 2025 cohort, leveraging her healthcare background to focus on improving accessibility for her new role. And Daniela landed a mid-level UX researcher role within 4 months of graduating, and she was able to leverage nearly a 10-year career in education. So if you're thinking about, well, I'm not really sure what skill sets I have that translate into UX, start to think about, if you're someone who's more on the strategic side, you might have skill sets like stakeholder management and project management. Anytime you've had to work across several different teams or coordinate and facilitate things between several different teams, that's all stakeholder management and project management. Service design is another big one that I really see. So anytime you've had to optimize operations internally at a company, anytime that you've had to save on costs or save on time or increase revenue through how you redesign or rethink internal processes, all of that is service design. So I want you to start to think about, oops, this moved. I want you to start to think about all those transferable skill sets that you might have. And then finally, I want you to think about UX research interview skill sets and ideation and meeting facilitation, especially for folks coming from healthcare and educational backgrounds. A lot of the work you do working and collaborating with other healthcare professionals or with educators or running a classroom, that all counts for classroom facilitation. So that's something to consider as well and think about as well. Um, Let me see if I can move this back. Here we go. So I'm going to give everyone 6 minutes and just to write out some of their answers. We might end earlier than 6 minutes. This is just a benchmark. And I wanted to highlight some of my favorite responses from previous UX career planning sessions. This is from Vish, who came from a policy and research analyst background, and she has both quantitative and qualitative research skills. She has experience conducting stakeholder management and defining needs to scope research. So that was really great to see. She's actually joining our spring 2026 cohort because she realizes she has to fill certain knowledge gaps, and she wants to act on the UX career plan that she created within this session. And then we also have Vicky, who has a goal of product design, UX and UI roles. Previously, Vicky had backgrounds and experiences in communications, being able to explain, advocate design decisions, cater to specific audiences. They have a floral background, so floral design in particular, and thinking about how textures and colors work. And they also have a graphic design background. And Vicky is joining us for the spring 2026 cohort as well. So you're seeing how two very different types of cohort members are joining us with very different backgrounds and very different interests. One is joining us for research, one is joining us for design, or ultimately going down the design path versus the research path. And I'm just taking a look at some of the answers here. So I see that Sammy has backgrounds in project management, branding and design, typography, motion graphics. That's really great to hear. Advocating for users. Tyler has a degree in anthropology, 7 years in education, 6 in retail, more than 10 years in customer service. That's great to see. I think that background calls for a very mid to senior level UX research or service design career. Right? Quantitative research skill sets, qualitative, stakeholder management, research project management, data communication, and teaching. Great. This is amazing. So you're starting to see what's possible when you start to think about your skill sets and you think about a clearer focus in terms of one UX career path to focus on. We'll give this activity a couple more minutes. I would like you to take more time articulating this one. So I see here how in Sammy's post, the transferable skill sets are going from project management and graphic design to things like advocating for users. So I want you to get a little bit more detailed and descriptive when you're talking about some of your transferable skill sets. And I think for the folks just joining, here is the link. And take your time. There is no one time for all. So if you're still on the first activity, that's great. Take your time to read and digest what the activity is about and write your own sticky note. And you can always go at your own pace. There's no need to go with the whole group. I see some folks who have already launched into activity 3. So feel free to continue on to activity 3 if you have finished with activity 2. And I'm just going to move this back here. All right, giving it one more minute, and then I'm going to talk through activity 3. So we had talked about, what our strengths were and what our transferable skill sets are from past education backgrounds. Now I want you to think about some knowledge and confidence gaps or weaknesses that you have in terms of rebranding into a UX career path. So what do you need to address in terms of knowledge gaps and skill sets and in order to really land a mid to senior level UX position or even a new grad position if you're someone who's currently a new grad. Some of the knowledge gaps that I have seen a lot of folks have in terms of career changers and new grads alike are 0 to 1 product design builds, product positioning, product scoping, business strategy, AI product design. We've added curriculum of over 6 hours of lessons in terms of how to design AI products and features, building design systems in Figma, UX entrepreneurship, especially for the folks who want to land UX freelance roles or agency roles or go more into service design, or maybe even start their own agency one day. Entrepreneurship is really crucial for any type of freelance. And so if you are noticing that you're having a lot of knowledge gaps, what I would recommend doing is consider joining us for the Spring 2026 7-month accelerator program, which costs $7,450. And we have a special offer for you just because we keep it limited only to the folks who are in these types of intimate sessions. But if you use the discount code 300 off in the next 48 hours, you can get $300 off on the course registration. And then in February, when the class starts, if you use the discount code $900 off, you can get on the lump sum payment for the tuition, you can get an additional $900 off as well. So we don't really offer this to everyone in the community, but for the folks who hop on a call like this one or watch a video recording of this type of session, we do want to offer additional discounts. And if you're not sure whether this is the right option for you, you can always book a call with me as well. So let me just share my link for a call. And the deadline to register for the Spring 2026 cohort is February 12th, so in 4 weeks. So I would highly recommend booking a call by then. And so some common knowledge gaps that I notice in strategic career-oriented folks especially are business strategy, entrepreneurship, AI product design. Folks who come from more of a strategic background need more time to develop a design eye and understand design visuals and visual designs and design systems and working in Figma. They always tend to have a little bit more of a learning curve when it comes to moving into the Figma part of the curriculum. And it just tends to take them a little bit longer to develop that design eye. That's totally okay. It's completely natural if you never had a design background to take some time to develop that design eye. So that's something where in the 3 months of career coaching, we help you build that design eye if that is the gap that you possess. And then I also noticed certain knowledge gaps from folks who are coming in with more visual design orientation. So these are the folks coming in from graphic design, architecture, interaction design, things like that. And they also have gaps in business strategy, entrepreneurship, AI product design. They're usually looking to fill UX research and UX facilitation gaps. And they also need more help with design systems because a lot of folks come in from a branding and typography perspective, but that's very different than building a design system for an application. And of course, they have it much easier when it comes to building that design eye. A lot of them are already pretty well versed in Figma. In fact, we've worked with folks who've come from 5 or 10 year graphic design backgrounds and even art director backgrounds who've really been able to rebrand at the senior to lead level after taking the course. And it's because they were able to speak better and more articulate better the AI product design and business strategy elements and research strategy elements within UX. And in fact, we had someone who told us that before they took our class, they struggled to land UX and product designer roles, and then they re-met with the same company after they took the class, and the company was really impressed by the new case studies in their portfolio and saw the strategic thinking within their portfolio and hired them after they finished taking the course. So I'm going to give everyone about 2 to 3 more minutes. Let's say 2 minutes. I want to take some time to read some of the descriptions. So I see here that Samita is seeking a entry-level role into service design. Skills they need to work on are journey mapping, Miro, Figma, blueprints, and building a portfolio. Okay. Our next activity is going to be on the portfolio, so we're getting to that. I see here Andy talks about overall not much real-world experience, SaaS, B2B, e-commerce, and other technical knowledge, business strategy, and converting UX goals to business goals, depth in UX research. All right. All right, everyone has really clear answers. I see folks moving to part 4. And so this is part 4 is actually 20 minutes long for a reason, because this is where we turn our plans into a reality and map out an action plan. So we need to figure out how we're going to build a portfolio that's really relevant to us. What we've already done was we've considered transferable skill sets. We have analyzed our past careers and understood what our strengths are, what our industry expertise is. Some of us might be coming from, specific industries and have lots of deep industry knowledge. So perhaps some of us will be able to leverage that industry knowledge and become a UX researcher or UX designer in a specific industry. And so now we want to start to define what our dream UX job is. So based on our past transferable skill sets and background, based on the one career path that we have chosen from the personality quiz, I want you to define your dream job in terms of problems you want to solve for a specific industry. And when I say dream job, I'm not talking about a specific name or specific brand name, but I'm talking about, things like, do you want to work for healthcare or ed tech or fintech? Those tend to be the bread and butter industries that are always hiring. They tend to hire even during economic uncertainty or recessions. So those tend to be the safe industries. The next tier is e-commerce and B2B software as a service. They also tend to hire pretty well. And then finally, you have industries like entertainment and social media, which are not as predictable. And then you also have niche industries like real estate or travel. So when I want you to, define what you want in terms of your future dream UX job, I'm really looking for 1 to 2 industries where you are really hyper focused and you want to be a mid to senior level UX researcher or mid to senior level UX designer or product designer at one specific industry, whether it's healthcare, ed tech, fintech, and so on. And once you've started to figure out, okay, this is the top 2 industries that I really want to focus on, then I want you to start to think about, okay, how do I work backwards to build a relevant portfolio? So let's say that you've chosen healthcare as your dream industry. How do you work backwards to make sure that you have a portfolio that's very healthcare and UX related? One really great example of this is Valerie. She was someone who had 10 plus years of physical therapy experience before she came to us. And then she was able to narrow down that she wanted a UX researcher role within healthcare before she started our class. She went through our whole program. She created a app for, physical therapists to assign homework to patients for better outcomes. And then after she graduated, she had a couple of case studies from her project. And then she was able to rebrand some of her past work in physical therapy as service design and UX research so that she had a robust healthcare portfolio of about 4 to 5 case studies. And so by the time she graduated, she had landed within 3 months of graduating a UX lead role at CVS Corporate. And it's because she chose to be hyper specific and really stick to her transferable skill sets and a strategic career based on her transferable skill sets. And in her case, she chose to stay in healthcare because that's what she really loved. There were some elements of her healthcare job that she had burnt out that had caused a lot of burnout, but she really loved healthcare as a career and she loved healthcare as an industry and wanted to stay in healthcare. So start to think about, okay, how do I get more specific? Do I want to do UX or PD for education, e-commerce? Do I want to do UX design or PD for fintech? And then once you've decided what that industry is, this is the hard part. You need to think about a noteworthy project topic that is unique to you and your case studies and your portfolio. Remember that all of us are coming in from such a unique background, right? All of us are coming in from such diverse backgrounds. We all have such diverse and different interests, which means that none of us should have the same portfolio. All of us are going to have a very different portfolio, and none of us are in competition with each other as candidates because we're going towards very specific industries and we're trying to attract very specific hiring managers. So now that you've narrowed down what your industry is, I want you to start thinking of a project topic that really highlights a unique startup topic that is unique to your portfolio. So I don't want it to be another cookie cutter healthcare app or a cookie cutter fintech app or ed tech app. I want it to be something really unique. So start to think about, based on your personal expertise and based on your personal life, what are invisible communities or invisible markets that the mainstream markets are just completely unaware of and that need a lot of help. And if there was a startup that built a solution to the problems in that community or the problems in that market, that startup would essentially go viral because it's so niche and because the mainstream has completely ignored it. So some really noteworthy topics from previous cohorts. And by the way, I've helped our students scope these topics from both a design, business, and technical perspective. So that's why they're really well thought out. I'm just expecting more of a raw topic from you today, but you can take more time to think about it. So some of the topics from the previous cohorts have been social education and conditioning for neurodivergent kids between the ages of 2 to 6 years old. That was Daniela's project. Remember that she came from an education background. She was inspired by her children, and she wanted to help the community that she came from and all the other parents that she had met. We also have had students focus on luxury athleisure e-commerce experiences for moms juggling multiple roles, freelance app for gig-based musicians to negotiate better contracts for events and festivals and venues, B2B software as a service for managing regulatory and operations concerns for the cannabis industry and growers, financial literacy and mentorships for folks confronting their addictions or who are in recovery, making amends and getting back on their feet financially, a creator platform for women of color to get discovered and funded by businesses, and movie and film platform for and coming AAPI creators looking to share their work with other AAPI consumers and broader audiences who are interested in AAPI cultures. So all of these topics actually come from our spring 2025 and fall 2025 cohorts. So these are very thoroughly thought up and very detailed project topics that really help each of our students stand out and really help each of our students present a unique business model and a unique MVP startup idea within their portfolios. And everyone's graduating with a different portfolio based on their unique interests. So the whole name of the game is really to figure out what's unique to your interests and your passions and where you want to land. And how are you going to build a unique portfolio and unique personal brand unlike anybody else's portfolio? A big mistake that I see a lot of boot camps do is that they pre-scope a lot of their projects. So everyone ends up graduating with the same project or the same level of scope. So they don't get to practice those senior level business and strategic skill sets like scoping and business strategy. So by scoping your own project, you're really developing some of those mid to senior level skill sets. And scoping is really hard, even at the lead level, even at the director level, even at the VP level. Sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes you don't scope the right thing and you have to tweak what you scope. So don't feel like what you've written on the sticky note is the end all be all. This is just the starting point. I just want you to start to get as detailed as possible in terms of what your UX Woman project topic could potentially be. And this is where you're really turning your plan into action because now you have a tangible project topic that you can use to create a UX portfolio. So I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And I'm really trying to take more time on this one because it is the meat of this session, right? We've talked about our strengths and weaknesses, but now we need to really put the plan into action. So I'm going to read some of these and I want to see how people are doing. Education or healthcare, an interactive platform or product that helps college instructors create better learning materials for students. I really like this topic idea. I think we can get more specific. So is it every single college instructor across all the different major and minor topics? Or can we narrow it down to a more specific topic, like for music professors or music instructors, or for business professors or MBA professors, or is it engineering professors? I think sometimes specificity helps a lot more so that we don't end up making something that's too generic. So play around with the scope. That is narrowing down the scope. On the other hand, maybe we could expand the scope, right? Just because we're playing around with a narrower scope doesn't mean we should also not play around with broader scopes. So maybe we should think about a platform that helps to train instructors or college professors, and that could be an even more general scope. So start to play around with the different types of scope that you could have. Oh, great. So by scoping it down, biomedical learning, that now places this topic in the healthcare and ed tech industries, or the health in between healthcare and ed tech. So that's much more specific. And now this project topic will attract hiring managers in both those spaces. All right. I see an e-commerce or B2B SaaS would be their choice. An app that provides a daily list of items for activities for new moms to do with their children based on their age, which could be done by inputting their birthday age of their child. So this is actually too specific, right? I think here we're seeing someone go into more solutioning and starting to almost design the solution. I actually want you to think less about the solution and I want you to think more about the problem. Is the problem being busy moms who have trouble entertaining their kids? Is that what the problem is? Or is it busy moms? Can we get more specific about the problem? Is it busy moms who have trouble entertaining kids at the kindergarten age or kids between the ages of 5 to 8, right? Because maybe after that age group, kids become more self-sufficient and they're able to entertain themselves. So by creating a specific age group and by focusing on a specific problem that the mom has, I would focus less on the solution because the solution can be anything. And by actually thinking about features, what I'm trying to steer everyone clear of is thinking about solution features because that adds bias to your project topic. If you're already thinking of solutions and you're already thinking that this is going to be a mobile app, you've already biased your topic, right? So by trying to be very focused on the problem, you can then really let your community co-create with you. That's the ultimate goal, is to really take the time to do qualitative research and run 8 to 16 interviews to understand what the community needs in the first place and whether your hypothesis was correct. And then to come up with multiple solutions, co-create with your community, run business prototyping methods to narrow it down to one prototype that you have quantitative proof that this one idea is going to win in the market. But we haven't done all that validation, right? So I don't want you to get attached to an idea too soon. All right, let's take a look at more. I see an educational social media platform that helps users plan out trips, a personalized travel planner, focused on more local favorites or secret spots. I like that. Or I think we could get more specific here. So in the past, some of our students have chosen topics like uh, travel for solo women travelers and how solo women travelers can better plan group activities or meet local folks when they are traveling solo. So that's a little bit more specific and it leads to more interesting solutions as opposed to more of a generic travel plan. Or maybe it's for Gen Z travelers who have a very limited budget and want to still travel as much as they can, right? So how can we get more specific about that travel topic? And then I see here software dev platform where it helps streamline the job search management using AI for millennial and Gen Zers. Again, this is a very general topic because we see so many of those apps out there already. Remember that we're trying to stand out from the crowd, right? We don't want to build something that already exists. I like that it's focused on millennial and Gen Zers, but what's going to be unique about this? So what's a unique problem that millennial and Gen Zers have in the job search? I think we could focus it even more and say, helping Gen Zers get their first new grad or entry-level job based on even within tough job markets, right? That is made more specific. And maybe we can even focus it on a specific job search. Is it for Gen Zers getting UX design jobs? Is it for Gen Zers getting tech jobs? Is it for Gen Zers getting business jobs, right? So remember, specificity is your friend. And it's okay if you haven't figured this out yet or you're not sure about how specific to get yet. This is something that takes time. A lot of our cohort members will take some time to think about it. They'll get back to me, they'll register for the class. And then actually what I like to do is I like to hop on a one-on-one call before class starts to really help everybody hone their project topics. So if you are interested in the 7-month accelerator coming up, I highly recommend using the Calendly link that I shared to book a call with me, and we can think through your project topic in more detail based on the route that you're interested in. So I'm just going to paste this in here as well, the Calendly link. And then I'm going to also paste the Figma link because I see more folks joined. All right. So we have a couple more minutes. This one is a hard one, so take some time to think through your project topic. And this is where your plan is turning into an action or a course of action, right? Because if you don't act on this, then it's useless, right? It's not going to go anywhere. But the whole point of this is to be very intentional about creating a portfolio that helps you stand out. And the only way to stand out is not by doing the same cookie cutter things that other boot camps are doing or doing a consulting project, but by really taking the time to dig into your own unique experience, your unique interests for yourself in the future, and then coming up with a hyper-specific, well-scoped project topic that's not only related to design, but I remember that we also need to build a business model for this idea. Remember that you're building a startup and that this idea needs to be monetizable. So for the app for moms to find things to do for kids, how are we going to monetize that app, right? That one is going to be a little trickier to monetize. Does it have an education component? Does it have a psychology component that parents are willing to pay for that kind of application? Does it have a mental health component? So that's something to think about in terms of a monetization strategy. And so when we scoped each of these project topics, we had also scoped a business model for each of these ideas, because without a business model or some sort of sustainable nonprofit model, these ideas still won't go anywhere, right? They might just be great community ideas or great design ideas that you could put on Behance. But Behance, beware of Behance, because Behance has a lot of useless ideas that look really pretty, but they have no practical value from a business perspective in the sense that they are not able to be monetized. So really think about not only the specificity of your problem and the community that you're trying to help, but also, can this be monetizable? Because that's what separates a junior designer or a career changer from someone who is clearly a mid to senior, maybe even a lead level designer, is that they're able to articulate those business impact metrics and they're able to scope something that has a clear design vision, but also has a clear business strategy and the tech and operational constraints to actually put those ideas into practice. So it's actually kind of a myth that UX is all about people. 1/3 of UX is about people and design and your users. Another 1/3 of UX is about business strategy. And then another 1/3 of UX is about the tech and operational constraints and how you can actually build this within the limitation of the tech and ops that you have as a small startup. So you're really, by taking on that interdisciplinary approach, that's how you truly vet your ideas. So I know this one's a really hard one. I hope everyone goes back to part 4 because that's the meat of the session. I want to move into activity 5. So in what ways do you want your career to be different from what it is today? So now that you've kind of gone through these activities, it should be clear to you that you need to change certain elements in your approach to the job search. So now that you've kind of gained a certain amount of clarity, what are you going to do differently moving forward? How are you going to act and think differently moving forward? And start to think about how you're going to implement these changes. So what types of skill sets do you need to utilize and develop over the next 5 years? What type of mindsets do you need to change about yourself and redevelop or rethink over the next 5 years? How do you want to better collaborate? What types of problems do you want to solve? So again, what are you changing moving forward? Now that you have this level of clarity, what is going to change about your approach? And I think a lot of times I've seen folks, as they go through the 7-month accelerator program, leave behind a lot of fear and scarcity and competition-based mindsets around layoffs and the job search. What you're finding as you're seeing everyone's different sticky notes is that there's so much diversity here. Everyone's coming from such a different background. Everyone's interested in so many varying, different and diverse things or topics. And so everyone has a place to land as long as you get very specific about what you want and why you want it, right? Specificity is the key, and specificity in your UX portfolio is also going to help the right hiring managers find you. The biggest mistake you can make as a career changer or new grad is to have a generalist resume and a generalist portfolio and try to do a little bit of everything. Because when you try to be a people pleaser and when you try to do a little bit of everything for everyone, nobody is satisfied. And that's why you see so many career changers and new grads get stuck having a very generalist approach, applying to all types of jobs, having a portfolio with a bunch of different projects, and nobody's calling them back. It's because they're not getting specific enough and they're not attracting a very specific type of hiring manager. So I want you to start to gain confidence and overcome imposter syndrome via action and doing and actually building the product 0 to 1 rather than just planning. So activities 1 to 3 were in planning land and theory land, and we were just getting clear on what were our strengths and weaknesses were and what our direction needed to be. But once you get clear on your strengths, your weaknesses, your direction, you need to put a plan into action. And activity 4 was all about figuring out what to put inside your portfolio based on your transferable skill sets, based on where you want to go, based on your knowledge gaps. And the only way you're going to overcome imposter syndrome around your knowledge gaps is, I don't think, by DIYing and consuming more content. It's by actually doing it. It's by actually building a product 0 to 1 and working through the kinks of building a business model for the startup idea and a operations and technical strategy for this idea. And to do that, you have to really let go of failure and perfectionist tendencies and really embrace a trial and error and constant iteration approach, right? You have to just jump in and do it rather than think about it or plan about it or read about it or watch a YouTube video about it. Consuming more education is not going to get you where you want to be. Action is going to get you where you want to be. And this is the hard truth, right? So you need to and this is where the 7 month program really comes in, is because we help you develop consistent habits. In the 4 month curriculum, you're spending 5 to 10 hours on actionable homework and actionable tasks within the design process every week. And so you're moving the needle forward and working through the design process one step at a time, and we hold you accountable. We do 3 hours of live lectures every Sunday. It's 2 hours of lectures, 1 hour of interactive activity, like you see here, where you get to jumpstart the homework. And then you meet with your mentor for 1 hour every week to keep working on the homework and keep pushing the homework forward. And by staying in that rhythm of once a week homework that leads into presentation deliverables, every week you're working on a different deliverable, and then ultimately putting a midterm and final pitch together. You're finding that by doing that, that's where you're able to build your skill sets. And this also is what's going to help you to be consistent with the job search and treating it like a workout. So if you're consistently putting 5 to 10 hours into learning about the design process and addressing your knowledge gaps, then when it comes to the 3 months of career coaching, you're doing the same thing, right? In the first month of career coaching, we're focused on UX resume writing and LinkedIn profile building. We're writing everyone mid to senior level UX researcher or designer resumes or new grad resumes. We're making sure their LinkedIn profile is optimized based on their resume. The second month is portfolio building and building a portfolio of 3 to 5 case studies. And then the third month is interview techniques and prep. And by treating the job search itself like the design process, we're doing a lot of trial and error, and we're teaching you how to troubleshoot your job search process. So those resumes and LinkedIn profiles and portfolio case studies that we help you create are just the baseline, right? That's your starting point. But we're also teaching you how to keep improving the baseline and constantly A/B testing your resumes, A/B testing different formats for your LinkedIn profile, A/B testing your case study templates, and continuing to add case studies to your portfolio every 3 to 6 months. So the job search is also a very active process. And again, this is where I see a lot of career changers make the mistake of applying to, jobs for 6 months or even a year or even 2 years using the same resume, the same portfolio, and making no change in their approach, and then expecting a different result. You have to make a change if you want a different result. And that's why I'm really focused on the change that you're going to do moving forward. How are you going to change your approach? Because if your current approach is not working, something is off. You need to change something about what you're doing so that you can get the results that you want. And we've taken some time to gain clarity and define each of our own personal visions. And that should help you gain enough clarity to act with conviction and to really, from moving forward, have tunnel vision on your 2026 career goals. So In 2026, I want you to focus on landing a UX job by the end of 2026. And I don't want you to take more time doing that. I don't want you to spend anywhere between 2 to 4 years trying to land a UX job. You're going to get burnt out and you're going to give up by that point. So by 2026 end, you need to be able to land a UX job. So how are you going to work backwards to do that? And that's how the 7-month accelerator program can really help. Because between February through May, we're going through a 4-month end-to-end design curriculum. We're coming up with 3 UX case studies, one in research, one in design, one in AI. In the 3 months of career coaching between June and August, we're going through troubleshooting your job search and rethinking all your job search deliverables. Then between September through November, that's the second hiring season of each year. You can troubleshoot or pressure test your approach to the job search in that second hiring season. Things tend to be pretty slow during the summer, but then it kind of picks up in terms of the job search because mid-year people tend to reevaluate their budgets in corporate. And so you're troubleshooting that job search, learning from the job search, then the holidays come back up. And then right before January, things start to pick up again. So after the holidays or right before the holidays, new budgets are set for the new year. And December is when you're going to start to see hiring peak again. And so by December, January timeframe, by this time next year, you should have multiple offers or at least multiple interviews because you've already troubleshooted your job search process. And so the busiest hiring season of the year is when you're going to go really hit the ground running and know exactly what to do in terms of your job search. So that is the plan within the 7-month accelerator program. And so remember, this is not like a distant 1-day thing. This is about what are you going to do? What are you going to change right now to get to where you want to be? So it's not just about creating a plan. I hope everyone comes out of this session with a really clear plan and a really personalized plan for what they need to do for themselves. But this is the session that really separates the dreamers from the doers, because the dreamers are going to sit on the plan for the next 6 months, and the doers are actually going to act on the plan for the next 6 to 7 months. So remember that the 7-month accelerator program is here for you to take accountability. We are going to hold you accountable to stick to the timeline of landing a UX job by the end of the year. So now is the time to determine, is UX really the right career path for you? So I'm going back almost to the beginning. Why now? Is UX really the right career path for you? If you really truly feel that UX is the right career path for you, I would set aside a plan, a really concrete plan, and turn that plan into action in 2026. If you've gone through all these activities and you're like, you know what? I don't feel that motivated to really act on this goal or this plan. And maybe UX is not the right career path for me. That's totally fine too. You can step out and you can learn UX more for your fun or your entertainment. And you can, learn over this course of 2 years or 4 years. But if you're truly serious about landing a UX job, I don't want you to be stuck in that land of digesting and consuming content and consuming education forever. Because I have also hopped on calls with folks who have been stuck in that rut for 2 to 4 years, and they're constantly consuming and digesting information, and they end up over consuming information, right? Rather than acting and building a very specific portfolio. And the thing is that what they want to build is not external. They're looking to every single source outside of themselves to come up with what they want to do, or to just keep consuming more data and more information. But really, what we really did today was really understand what were some internal motivators that we touched upon today? What internally motivates us so that then we can look to external sources to help us get to where we want to be. So what makes you unique is what's going to get you hired. And everyone should be building their own personal brand and their own unique portfolio. So really take some time to sit with yourself. You already have the answers. You already know where you want to go based on your interests and past background. And then we can help you get there. So I really like to make sure anyone who comes into our 7-month accelerator have that really clear plan ahead of time, rather than constantly looking for external sources of validation or external data to consume all the time, every time. And I don't want you to just think about this year. Yes, we want to put down an actionable plan for this year, but even more broadly, the reason I want you to aspire to create something that nobody has ever created before is because 5 to 10 years down the line, I want you to be the one leading a team or starting your own nonprofit or starting your own business or startup or community. And you should be the one in charge. And you're going to be leading a design team one day. So how can you help your community by paying it forward? 10 years from now, when you are the design expert, how are you going to pay it forward? I don't want you to just keep dreaming of employment, right? That's the goal for this year. This year, we can dream about employment, and I will allow you to do it. But 5 or 10 years from now, I want each and every one of you to have built your own startup, to have built your own business, to build your own community or nonprofit, and to actually pay it forward to the community that really matters to you. So that's why I want you to think of a project topic that is a mix of aspirational and a mixture of practical as well. Practical in the sense of where do you want to land a job in which industry? And we can help you find that perfect mix. So if you're interested, you can book a call with me. I'm just going to share my call thing one more time and my course registration one more time. Remember that you have 48 hours to use those discount codes, so you can copy paste them. I will leave the FigJam open. All of you have the link, so you can keep working in FigJam if you need to mull over any of your ideas. And I'm going to stop sharing for now. So keep working if you would like to. But thank you so much. We're almost at time. So thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you in a future class. And if anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to add them into the chat. Thanks so much. And it's getting dark for me here. It's only 5:30, but it's pretty dark in Philadelphia. I'm glad that, Sophia, you found this to be helpful. Thanks so much, and I'll see you. And yes, the consulting calls are for folks who are interested in the 7-month accelerator program. That was one of the questions I saw. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you, wishing you the best in your career journey.